Hi, my name is Ravi. Welcome to my channel Payment Talks. Welcome back and a very happy new year to everyone. Have you ever wondered what is a hybrid address that every bank is wondering now? Where is the hybrid address tag in ISO message? What is the link between this hybrid address and address line element? How many characters are allowed in address lines? Do not worry at all. In this video, we shall cover everything about postal address regulatory requirement and what banks should do now to comply with this regulatory requirement. Postal address data has long been one of the weakest links in payments. While names and accounts are often well defined, addresses historically traveled as free text, limiting automation, weakening sanction screening, and increasing repair rates. ISO 20022 introduced rich structured postal address elements to solve this problem. However, real-world data realities slowed adoption. To bridge the gap between legacy practices and the target state, the industry, through the Payments Market Practice Group (PMPG), introduced a hybrid postal address model. This article explains what unstructured, structured, and hybrid addresses are, why each exists, what is mandatory in each model, characters limits and formatting rules, the evolution timeline and regulatory drivers, what banks must do during the transition period. Before we understand these points, let us first understand the postal address elements that are available in the ISO message. As we already discussed in previous videos, ISO reuses components from its data dictionary. Postal address is a component which is reused in all ISO messages. Here you see the ISO schema of the postal address. Please note the following important points here. There are total of 17 structured elements including town name and country plus address line element. This address line is not part of structured elements. The maximum occurrence of address line element is 7 with maximum length of 70. This is schema level capability, not usage guidance. All the elements are optional. They become conditionally mandatory based on the address format that is used. Each schema may have their own restrictions or usage guidelines on top of this base ISO structure. For example, CBPR does not allow elements like care of, unit number, address type, etc. Also, the address line occurrences is limited to 2 or 3 based on the address format. Now, let us see which elements are impacted with this postal address. Postal address is a component inside a party or agent. Here is a quick glance on the address impact on each type. Typically, agent is identified by the standard identifiers like BIC or clearing codes. These codes can be referred to standard reference files to fetch more data like complete information including address from SwiftRef files or Banker's Almanac files, etc. For banks, the most crucial type is party, where retail customers' information is placed. This is where the real impact of postal address comes into picture. Banks should enhance their channels to fetch the proper address information on customers either while KYC for debtors or during beneficiary addition for creditors or during payment initiation. New elements introduced in ISO like ultimate debtor, ultimate creditor and initiating party does not allow the full unstructured address. Let us now understand the address formats one by one. First, we start with the unstructured address. A fully unstructured address uses only free text address lines without any structured elements such as town or country. This mirrors legacy Swift empty usage. First, let's understand the legacy Swift address format. As we just now mentioned, address is present in either party or agent elements. The party elements in Swift MT 103 customer credit transfer are: first is field 50, which is ordering customer. The ISO equivalent is debtor element. The second is field 59, which is beneficiary customer. ISO equivalent is creditor element. As you can see here, these are the options or formats in which these elements carry the information in legacy empty format. As highlighted, the name and address gets 4 lines of 35 characters at maximum. The first line is always taken by the name. So for address, only 3 lines of maximum 35 characters is available. Similarly, if you see the agents, there are only 4 formats in which an agent can be represented in empty format. Out of these 4, only option D can carry address. As you see again, name and address gets 4 lines of 35 characters at maximum. The first line is always taken by the name. So for address, only 3 lines of maximum 35 characters is available. As fully unstructured address follows the legacy empty format, these free format address lines of empty are adjusted in the address line tag of the postal address component. That's why a fully unstructured address has following characteristics. First, only address line tag is allowed. Structured address line tags are not allowed. Though ISO scheme allows 7 occurrences of address line, only maximum of 3 occurrences is allowed for unstructured address. The maximum length of 35 characters is allowed in each occurrence of address line. Machine readability is low, because of which automation is not possible. Example can be seen here, where 3 lines of max 35 characters is allowed. According to PMPG, unstructured address has many limitations. It impairs sanctions and AML screening. It increases false positives. It also leads to truncation and misrouting. Because of these reasons, it requires manual repair and investigation. We will discuss the timelines of all 3 address formats at once to have clarity. Next, we shall discuss on the fully structured address. A fully structured address uses dedicated ISO 20022 elements for each address component. Fully structured address has following characteristics. Only structured fields are allowed. Address line is not allowed. Town name and country are technically optional, but it is highly recommended to pass this information, because according to FATF and PMPG, these 2 fields are minimum valuable geography elements. Data quality is high and it is easily machine readable because of dedicated tags. This is the reason structured addresses are the target state, as they enable precise sanctions filtering, reduce AML false hits, improve straight-through processing, align with FATF recommendation 16 and support G20 cross-border payment goals. Example can be seen here. All structured elements with presence of town name and country, no address line. But there is a practical challenge to adopt the fully structured address immediately. PMPG identified that most banks and corporates do not store addresses fully structured in their systems. Forcing full structured address too early would risk data loss, data pollution, incorrect field usage, reduced information quality, among many other, defeating the very purpose of structured address. This is where PMPG came up with hybrid address concept. The hybrid postal address is an industry compromise to enable structured data where feasible, preserve free text flexibility for the last mile, and avoiding an all or nothing migration. Then what is hybrid address? A hybrid address combines mandatory structured elements, optional structured elements, and limited unstructured address lines as well. Key characteristics of hybrid address are town name and country are mandatory. Address line can occur a maximum of 2 times. Maximum length of each address line is 70 characters. Example can be seen here. It contains the mandatory town name and country, optional elements like postal code, and mandatory at least 1 out of 2 occurrences of address line. Some very important rules for hybrid addresses are shown here. PMPG explicitly states that structured data takes precedence over everything. That means if data fits a structured field, it must not be placed in address line. Do not duplicate town or country in address line. Do not use placeholders like not provided inside the mandatory town name and country and also in general. Do not populate 3 address lines in a hybrid address. Do not use 35 character logic of PMPG in hybrid mode. Do not assume market infrastructure validation will fix errors. Please make sure banks channels and payment engine does is enhanced to validate the hybrid address. Let's see the practical rationale behind these decisions by PMPG. Town and country are minimum valuable geography for sanction screening and FATF compliance. FATF revised R16 rule to emphasize country and town as key elements for beneficiary identification. Requiring town and country balances privacy concerns and AML screening needs. 2 into 70 in hybrid is deliberate. 70 characters into 2 occurrences gives flexibility for addresses held as single strings in corporate systems, while keeping a limit to reduce truncation risk and mapping complexity. PMPG designed hybrid to be pragmatic for real world data. 3 occurrences of 35 characters for fully unstructured maps to legacy empty field sizes to maintain backward compatibility for systems that map MX to empty and avoid silent truncation in empty carriage. This is why the PMPG mapping guidance explicitly sets the 3 times of 35 characters rule for downgrading to fully unstructured. Let us now look at the timelines to be observed for these address formats. As you can clearly see here, fully structured address is already allowed today and it is a preferred recommended option in the future as well. Fully unstructured address is in the grace period phase where it is getting decommissioned. It is allowed only until November 2026 on network. It will be rejected by Swift and local RTGS systems beyond November 2026. Hybrid address is allowed only from November 2025. At this moment, hybrid address has no end date and becomes a permanent option alongside fully structured address until further update. We have covered some important aspects in the blog article. We covered the network validation reality and what this means for banks, practical controls that banks and integrators must implement at their channel, in payment engines and at network boundary. I have also summarized all the 3 address formats and also compared the address line pointers for these 3 formats. Do visit the blog for that information. To conclude, the evolution from unstructured, hybrid, structured is not just a technical migration. It is a data quality transformation. Unstructured address enable reach but not reliability. Structured address are the end goal but difficult to achieve immediately. Hybrid addresses provide a pragmatic, enforceable transition path. Banks that treat hybrid as a temporary workaround risk operational and regulatory pain. Banks that treat it as a permanent, high quality data model will gain better STP, stronger AML controls, lower costs, and higher customer trust. Hybrid done right is not a compromise, it is an enabler. With this, we come to the end of this video. Until next time, keep learning. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and share for more such interesting topics on payments.